The research station floated in the darkness of space like a giant crystal flower. It belonged to the Zalathi, a race of tall, thin aliens with pale blue skin. The station orbited around a frozen moon, far from any help. Commander Velthax stood in the control room, watching the warning lights flash red across every screen. His three-fingered hands shook as he pressed buttons, trying to stop what was happening. The station's main power source, the fusion core, had failed. Without it, they would all die. "Commander, we're losing air pressure in sections 4 through 7, his assistant Kreval said. The younger alien's voice was high with fear. "The backup systems aren't working either." Velthax knew they had to call for help, even though no friendly ships were close enough to reach them in time. He moved to the emergency broadcast panel and activated it. The machine hummed to life, ready to send their message across space. "This is Zalathi Research Station 7, he said into the transmitter. "We need immediate help. Our fusion cores have failed. Life support is failing. Any ship within range, please respond. We have 3,000 souls on board." The message went out in Galactic Standard, the language all spacefaring races understood. It would travel faster than light, reaching distant stars in minutes. But Velthax knew the truth. The only ships within rescue range were from the quarantine sector. "Sir," Kreval said quietly, "the only vessels that could reach us in time. They're from the Deathworld region." Velthax felt his heart sink. Both of them. The Deathworld region was a part of space that the Galactic Council had marked with warning beacons. The planets there were too dangerous for normal life. Worlds with crushing gravity, poisonous atmospheres, and deadly radiation. Most species who tried to land on those planets died within minutes. One planet in particular was the worst. The inhabitants called it Earth. It was a nightmare world where the rain was made of acid water, where the atmosphere was filled with corrosive oxygen, and where the gravity was so strong it could crush most aliens' bones. The creatures that lived there had evolved to be incredibly tough and violent. "The humans won't even receive our signal," Velthax said. "And if they do, they won't care. Those Deathworlders barely achieve spaceflight before destroying themselves with wars." But he was wrong. The distress signal raced through space, passing the warning beacons and reached the blue planet that everyone feared. On Earth's moon, inside a military base built into the lunar rock, Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee. He was a typical human, which meant he was short and stocky by galactic standards, with forward-facing predator eyes and skin that could heal from injuries that would kill most aliens. Jake was reviewing patrol schedules when his communication system suddenly lit up. A signal was coming through on the emergency frequency. Not a human signal. Something else. "What the hell?" Jake muttered, setting down his coffee. The zero gravity made the liquid float in a sphere, but he ignored it. His fingers flew over the controls, activating the translation protocols. The computer worked for a moment, then text appeared on his screen. As Jake read it, his eyes went wide. An alien distress signal. Real aliens, asking for help. Without hesitating, he opened a channel to Fleet Command. "Admiral Foster, this is Captain Morrison at Luna Base. We've got a Code 7 emergency." Admiral Lisa Foster's voice came through immediately. She was one of Earth's most experienced space commanders, a woman who had spent 30 years preparing for humanity's first real contact with alien life. "What kind of Code 7, Captain?" "Alien distress signal, ma'am. They're about 18 hours away at maximum burn. Their life support is failing. Translation says they have 3,000 people on board." There was silence for a moment. Jake could imagine Admiral Foster processing this information. This was it. Humanity's first chance to meet aliens, and they were in trouble. "How long do they have?" Foster asked. "Maybe 48 hours of air, if they're lucky." "And we can reach them in 18? "Yes, ma'am. But we'd need to launch within 2 hours to make that window." Another pause. Then Foster's voice came through, hard as steel and full of determination. "Captain Morrison, send out a fleet-wide alert. I want every available ship ready to launch in 90 minutes. We're going to save those people." "Ma'am?" Jake was surprised. "The entire Third Fleet for a rescue mission?" 3,000 lives are at stake, Captain, and this is humanity's first contact with alien life. We're going to show them who we really are. Not conquerors, not destroyers. We're going to show them that humans help those in need. Back on the Zalathi station, Commander Velthax floated in the dimming lights. The temperature was dropping as their power failed. His crew huddled together for warmth, their breath creating clouds of vapor in the cold air. "How long until the air runs out?" someone asked. 2 days, Velthax answered honestly. "Maybe less if the scrubbers fail completely." A young scientist named Texlon spoke up. "Commander, what if someone heard our signal? What if help is coming?" Velthax didn't want to destroy the youth's hope, but he had to be realistic. The only ships in range are from Earth. Even if they hurt us, why would Deathworlders help us? We have nothing they want. "Maybe they want our technology," another crew member suggested. "Our technology is centuries behind theirs," Velthax replied. "No. If the humans come, it won't be to help." But even as he said it, he found himself looking out the window at the stars, hoping he was wrong. On Earth, the mobilization had begun. Ships that had been on patrol were called back. Crews that had been on leave were summoned to their posts. In shipyards from Earth to Mars, engineers worked frantically to prepare vessels for the journey. The humans were coming. They didn't know what they would find. They didn't know if the aliens would be friendly or hostile. They didn't know if their technology would be compatible enough to help. But they knew 3,000 lives were in danger, and that was enough. In his ready room, Admiral Foster looked at the star charts. The alien station was in unexplored space, beyond the regions humanity had mapped. They would be going in blind, trusting only in their desire to help and their hope that kindness could bridge the gap between species. "Admiral," her aide said, entering the room, "the fleet is ready. 37 ships, fully crewed and supplied." Foster nodded. "Send a message to all ships. Tell them this is history in the making. Today, humanity takes its first step onto the galactic stage, and we're going to make sure that first step is one of compassion." The aide saluted and left. Foster turned back to the stars, thinking about the aliens waiting in the cold darkness. They had called for help, probably never expecting the Deathworlders to answer. They were about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous species were also the most protective. Sometimes those who had evolved on hostile worlds understood better than anyone the value of life and the importance of helping others survive. The human fleet began to power up their faster-than-light drives. In a few moments, they would jump across the vast distances of space to reach the dying station. On the Zalathi station, the temperature continued to drop. The crew huddled closer together, sharing what little warmth they had. Commander Velthax closed his eyes, trying not to think about how they would die. Would it be the cold that took them, or would they suffocate when the air ran out? He didn't know that 18 light-years away, humanity was coming to save them. He didn't know that the Deathworlders he feared were preparing to risk everything to help strangers in need. The rescue was about to begin. Commander Velthax was checking the life support readings when the proximity alarm suddenly screamed to life. Every sensor on the station began flashing warnings. Something was coming. Something big. "Commander!" Krevol's voice cracked with panic. "Multiple ships detected. They're dropping out of hyperspace." Velthax pushed himself through the zero gravity to the sensor station. What he saw on the screens made no sense. Ships were appearing from nowhere, tearing their way out of hyperspace with a violence that made space itself ripple and bend. 1 ship, 5 ships, 10, 20. They kept coming. The entire bridge crew floated in stunned silence, watching as more and more vessels appeared. These weren't the smooth, elegant ships of the Galactic Council. These vessels were different. They were angular, built with hard edges and aggressive lines. They bristled with what looked like weapons. Lots of weapons. Their hulls were dark metal scarred from countless journeys through hostile space. "By the void," someone whispered. "Those are Deathworlder ships." The word spread through the station like wildfire. The humans had come. The most dangerous species in known space had heard their distress call and responded. But why? What did they want? "They're going to harvest us," a technician cried out. "They'll take our technology and leave us to die." "Or worse," another added. They might want us for experiments. Everyone knows Deathworlders are violent and cruel. Panic began to spread. Crew members pushed away from their stations, looking for places to hide. Some grabbed whatever they could use as weapons, though everyone knew it was useless. If the humans wanted to hurt them, there was nothing the Zalathi could do to stop them. Velthax tried to maintain order. Everyone stay calm. We don't know what they want yet. But even he felt fear coursing through his body. The human ships were massive. The largest one was easily 10 times the size of their station. It could probably destroy them with a single shot. Then the communication panel lit up. Someone was trying to contact them. With shaking hands, Velthax activated the screen. A human face appeared, and the entire bridge went silent. It was a female human with short gray hair and forward-facing eyes that marked her as a predator species. But there was something in those eyes that Velthax didn't expect. They looked worried, concerned. Zalathi Research Station. This is Admiral Lisa Foster of the United Earth Fleet, the human said. The translator worked perfectly, rendering her words in clear galactic standard. We received your distress call. Hold tight. We're here to help. Velthax's translator struggled with the last word. Help? Did it translate correctly? You're here to help? Velthax managed to say. The human's face did something strange. The corners of her mouth turned upward, showing her teeth. On any other species, this would be a threat display. But somehow, it didn't seem aggressive. That's right, Admiral Foster said. We've brought engineers, medical teams, and supplies. We're going to fix your station and make sure everyone gets home safe. I'm sending boarding teams now. Don't be alarmed by their appearance. They're trained for rescue operations. But you're Deathworlders, Velthax said without thinking. The human made a sound that the translator identified as laughter. It was strange, almost like a bark. Yeah, we get that a lot, Foster said. Look, I know we probably seem scary. We evolved on a pretty harsh planet. But that also means we're really good at surviving bad situations, and more importantly, we're good at helping others survive them too. She leaned forward, her expression becoming serious. Commander, your station is dying. Your people need help. We can provide that help. Will you let us? Velthax looked around at his crew. They were all staring at him, waiting for his decision. He thought about their situation. They had maybe 36 hours of air left. The temperature was still dropping. They were going to die if they didn't accept help. Yes, he said finally. Yes, we accept your help. Admiral Foster's face did that strange mouth-turning thing again. Good. Our teams are already on their way. We'll have you fixed up in no time. The connection ended and Velthax turned to his crew. Prepare the docking bays and try not to panic when you see them. 10 minutes later, the first human shuttle attached to their station. The docking bay was crowded with Zalathi crew members, all of them pressing against the far wall, as far from the airlock as possible. The airlock cycled, and the humans entered. They were wearing bulky suits that made them look even more intimidating than usual. Each human was shorter than a Zalathi but much broader, with thick limbs and a way of moving that suggested incredible strength. Their helmets had transparent faceplates, showing their alien faces. The lead human raised one hand in what seemed to be a greeting. Hey there, folks. I'm Lieutenant Paul Rodriguez. We're here to help. Who's in charge? Velthax floated forward hesitantly. Up close, the human was even more frightening. He could see the dense muscles under the suit, the predator eyes that could track movement with terrifying accuracy. I am Commander Velthax, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. Good to meet you, Commander, Paul said. I've got 3 teams with me. Engineers to fix your power systems, medics to help any injured, and my security team to assist with evacuation if needed. Where do you need us first? The fusion core, Velthax managed. It's completely dead. Our engineers said it couldn't be fixed. Paul turned to one of his team members. Katie, you heard the man. Think you can work some magic? A female human stepped forward, pulling a large case of equipment. Won't know until I see it, but I've never met a fusion core I couldn't sweet-talk back to life. The engineering section is this way? Velthax said, leading them through the station. As they moved through the corridors, Velthax noticed something odd. The humans were being careful. Despite their strength, they moved gently, making sure not to bump into anything or anyone. When they passed frightened Zalathi crew members, the humans would nod or wave, making those strange mouth movements that seemed to be friendly. In the engineering section, Katie immediately went to work. She pulled off her helmet, revealing a young face with dark hair tied back. The air was safe for humans, though Velthax knew the oxygen levels were much lower than what they preferred. "Okay, let's see what we're working with," Katie said, examining the dead fusion core. She pulled out tools that looked impossibly complex, scanning devices that lit up with displays Velthax couldn't understand. "Yeah, I see the problem," she announced after a few minutes. "Your magnetic containment field collapsed. Probably a resonance cascade from that solar flare last week. Your people did the right thing shutting it down, or it would have exploded." "Can you fix it?" Velthax asked. Katie grinned. It was that same teeth-showing expression the Admiral had made. "Commander, I once fixed a fusion core using nothing but spare parts and bubblegum. This is easy compared to that." She began working, her hands moving with impossible speed and precision. She hummed as she worked, making musical sounds that echoed through the engineering section. Other humans joined her, setting up equipment and running cables. Meanwhile, in the medical bay, the human doctors were treating injured Zalathi. A young crew member named Texilon had been badly burned when a power conduit exploded. The Zalathi doctors had said he would die, but the humans had different ideas. "This isn't too bad," Dr. Sam Rivera said, examining the burns with gentle hands. "We can fix this. Amy, get me the synthetic skin grafts and the nanobotic healers." Velthax watched in amazement as the humans worked. They had brought medical technology that seemed like magic. Tiny robots that could repair tissue at the cellular level. Artificial skin that would bond with Zalathi biology. Medicine that could stop pain and promote healing. "Your bones are so delicate," Dr. Rivera said to his assistant. "We have to be really careful. Our normal pressure would break them." "It's like operating on butterfly wings," Amy agreed. "Beautiful, but fragile." Within hours, the station was transforming. The fusion core hummed back to life, flooding the station with power and warmth. The life support systems came back online, cleaning the air and regulating temperature. Injured crew members were walking again, their wounds healed by human medicine. But perhaps the most amazing thing was how the humans acted. They joked with each other, laughed at problems that seemed impossible, and treated the whole situation like it was just another day's work. "You do this often?" Velthax asked Paul. "Rescue missions?" "Yeah, pretty regularly," Paul replied. "Usually it's other human ships, but the principle's the same. Someone needs help, we help. That's what we do." "Even for aliens you've never met? Even for people who can't fight back or offer you anything in return?" Paul looked surprised by the question. "Especially then. Look, Commander, on Earth we have a saying, 'Today you, tomorrow me.' It means we help others because someday we might need help ourselves. But honestly, even if we never needed help, we'd still come. Because it's the right thing to do." As the human fleet maintained protective formation around the station and the repairs continued, Velthax began to realize that everything the Galactic Council believed about Deathworlders was wrong. They weren't conquerors or destroyers. They were protectors, and they had come to save his people. Lieutenant Paul Rodriguez floated through the repaired sections of the station, checking on his team's progress. The gravity here was about 1/3 of Earth's, which made every movement feel like bouncing on clouds. His heavy boots, designed for magnetic attachment, clicked softly against the floor with each step. The Zalathi crew members no longer ran when they saw humans approaching. Some even waved back when Paul greeted them. It had been 12 hours since the rescue began, and the fear was slowly being replaced by curiosity. Paul found Katie Chen in the secondary power distribution center, her hands deep inside a control panel. She was still humming that same tune from earlier, something classical that Paul couldn't quite place. "How's it going, Katie?" he asked. She pulled her head out of the panel, a smudge of alien grease on her cheek. "Better than expected. Their technology is actually pretty clever. Different from ours, but the physics is the same. I'm setting up redundancies so this won't happen again." "Redundancies?" asked a small voice. Paul turned to see a young Zalathi watching them. The alien was probably a teenager by their species standards, with bright blue skin and curious black eyes. "Yeah, redundancies," Katie explained, wiping her hands on a cloth. "It means backup systems for the backup systems. On Earth, we learned the hard way that anything that can break will break, usually at the worst possible time. So we build multiple ways for things to work." The young Zalathi floated closer. "I am apprentice engineer Zeltor. I was studying these systems before they failed. Could you show me?" Katie's face lit up. "Sure thing, kid. Come here. See this coupling? On your design, if it fails, the whole system shuts down. But if we add a bypass here, and another one here, the power can flow around the problem." Paul left them to it, Katie, eagerly explaining Earth engineering philosophy to the fascinated young alien. He made his way to the medical bay, where Dr. Rivera's team had transformed the space into something from a science fiction movie. The human medical equipment looked out of place next to the delicate Zalathi technology. Solid, blocky human machines sat next to the flowing, organic-looking alien devices, but they were working together, keeping the injured alive and healing. Dr. Sam Rivera was treating an elderly Zalathi who had broken several bones when the artificial gravity failed. The alien's bones were so thin that Sam could see through them on his scanner. "This is incredible," Sam was saying to Amy Park, his assistant. "Their bones are like bird bones, hollow but reinforced with this crystalline structure. It's beautiful from a biological standpoint." "Can you fix them?" the elderly Zalathi asked, fear in their voice. "Absolutely," Sam said gently. "But I have to be very careful. The treatment that would heal a human in hours needs to be diluted for your physiology. Too much, and it could do more harm than good." He prepared an injection, the needle so thin it was almost invisible. "This is going to promote bone growth and fusion. You'll need to rest for about 6 hours, but after that you'll be good as new." The elderly alien's eyes widened as the pain immediately began to fade. "The pain, it's gone." "That's the beauty of human medicine," Sam said with a smile. "We've had a lot of practice fixing broken bodies. Comes from living on a planet that's constantly trying to kill us." Across the medical bay, Texlan, the young Zalathi who had been burned, was sitting up and examining his new skin. The synthetic grafts had bonded perfectly, leaving only faint lines where the burns had been. "This is impossible," he kept saying. "I should be dead. The doctors said I would die." Amy was checking his vitals. "Well, you're very much alive. Heart rate is good, both of them. Neural activity is normal. The nanobots will dissolve in a few days once they're done with the healing." "Nanobots?" Texlan asked. "Tiny robots, smaller than your cells," Amy explained. "They're repairing the damage from the inside. It's actually based on technology we developed for treating radiation exposure. Turns out it works great for burns too." Meanwhile, Commander Velthax was in his office with Admiral Foster. She had come aboard personally to oversee the operation, bringing with her a small security detail that had politely but firmly secured the docking area. Not to threaten, she had explained, but to ensure the safety of both species during this historic first contact. "Your people are remarkable," Velthax said, watching through his window as human engineers installed new equipment. "They work without rest, without complaint." Lisa Foster sipped from her thermos of coffee, a beverage that Velthax had learned would be toxic to his species. "We evolved on a harsh world, Commander. It made us tough, but it also made us cooperative. Early humans who didn't help each other didn't survive. But we're not your people. We're aliens. Weak aliens who can't even survive on your planet." "So?" Foster shrugged. "You know what I see when I look at your people? I see beings who built a beautiful station, who were conducting research to benefit their whole species. I see people who love their families, who were terrified but still tried to save each other when disaster struck. She set down her coffee and leaned forward. The galaxy seems to think that because we're from a death world we must be death dealers. But surviving on a harsh planet taught us the value of life. Every life. A communication came through from the engineering section. Katie's voice was excited. Admiral, Commander, you're going to want to see this. They made their way to the main engineering section, where Katie had assembled a crowd of both human and Zalathi engineers. On the main display was a schematic that combined both species' technologies. Look at this, Katie said enthusiastically. The Zalathi have developed a type of fusion reaction that's 30% more efficient than ours. But it's unstable without proper containment. Our magnetic field technology can provide that containment. If we combine them, we get a fusion core that's safer and more powerful than either species could build alone, finished Zeltor, the young apprentice engineer. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this. The first technological cooperation between humans and aliens, and it was already producing results. This is just the beginning, Katie said. Imagine what else we could accomplish together. As the day wore on, more humans came aboard the station. They brought food, water, and air supplies. They brought entertainment devices to help the Zalathi children who were scared. They brought blankets and heating units for those still suffering from the cold. One human soldier, a big man named Danny Cole, was found in the recreation area, surrounded by Zalathi children. He was showing them pictures from Earth on his tablet. This is called a dog, he was saying, showing an image of a golden retriever. They're our companions. They evolved alongside us. It has teeth, one child exclaimed in fear. For eating meat? Yeah, Danny said. But dogs are gentle. They protect human children. They're loyal and loving. Predators that protect instead of hunt? Another child asked. That's exactly right, Danny nodded. Just like us. We're predators who choose to protect. In the station's communication center, the crew was receiving messages from across the galaxy. The Galactic Council was demanding explanations. How were Deathworlders in Council space? Why hadn't they attacked? What was happening? Velthax let Admiral Foster handle the responses. She was diplomatic but firm. We responded to a distress call, she told the Council representative on the screen. 3,000 lives were in danger. We have the capability to help, so we helped. If you have a problem with that, perhaps you should ask yourselves why you didn't respond. The Council representative, a six-armed being from the Altarian collective, clicked its mandibles in confusion. But you're Deathworlders, you're violent, dangerous. We can be, Foster admitted, but we choose not to be. We choose to help. That's what makes us human. As the repairs continued, something remarkable was happening. Humans and Zalathi were working side by side. The fear was gone, replaced by mutual respect and even friendship. Katie and Zeltor had become inseparable, the young alien eagerly absorbing everything the human engineer could teach. Dr. Rivera was exchanging medical knowledge with the Zalathi doctors, each species learning from the other. Even the security teams were mingling, with Danny Cole teaching Zalathi crew members basic self-defense moves that their fragile bodies could handle. You know, Paul said to Velthax as they watched their people working together. This isn't how I expected first contact to go. How did you expect it? Velthax asked. Honestly, more shooting, less fixing things, but I'm glad it's going this way. As am I, Velthax agreed. Your people have shown us something we didn't believe was possible. That strength can be used for protection, not just destruction. Paul grinned. Wait until you see what we can do when we really get going. This is just emergency repairs. Give us a few weeks, and we'll have this station better than it ever was. A few weeks? Velthax asked hopefully. Well, we can't leave until we're sure you're all safe, Paul said. That's the human way. We see a job through to the end. As the station's lights grew brighter and the air grew warmer, as the injured healed and the scared found comfort, the Zalathi began to understand that the stories about Deathworlders were wrong. Humans weren't monsters from a nightmare world. They were survivors who had learned that the best way to survive was together. And now, they were extending that philosophy to the stars. Commander Velthax sat in his ready room across from Admiral Lisa Foster. The human leader had removed her helmet, revealing short gray hair and weathered skin that spoke of years in space. She poured herself another cup of coffee from her thermos, the dark liquid steaming in the now warm air of the station. "Your crew saved us," Velthax said, his voice heavy with emotion. "I need to understand why. Everything we know about Deathworlders, about humans, says you should be conquerors, violent, dangerous." Lisa took a slow sip of her coffee before answering. "We can be all those things. Humans have done terrible things to each other throughout our history. We've had wars that killed millions. We've built weapons that could crack planets. We've destroyed entire ecosystems on our own world before we learned better." She set down her cup and looked directly at Velthax with those predator eyes that no longer seemed threatening. "But you know what we also learned? We learned that the same strength that lets us survive on a death world also lets us protect others. The same stubbornness that keeps us alive in hostile conditions means we don't give up on people who need help." "But we're nothing to you," Velthax protested. "Look at us. We're weak compared to humans. Our bones break if you squeeze too hard. Our technology is centuries behind yours. We can't even breathe the same air mixture you prefer. Why waste resources on us?" Lisa leaned back in her chair, which creaked under her weight despite being reinforced, for the lighter Zalathi. "Can I tell you a story about Earth?" Velthax nodded, curious despite himself. "About 200 years ago, before we even reached space, there was a disaster in a place called Chile. Miners were trapped underground, deep in the earth where the pressure and heat should have killed them. The whole world watched as rescuers worked to save them. Different countries sent equipment and experts, people who had never met these miners, who would never benefit from saving them, worked around the clock." She paused, remembering. "It took 69 days, but we got them out, all of them, alive. The cost was enormous, the effort incredible, but we did it because they were people who needed help. That's what humans do." "But they were your own species," Velthax pointed out. "So?" Lisa shrugged. "My grandmother used to say that the measure of a person isn't how they treat their equals, but how they treat those who need help. Besides, you folks figured out hyperspace communication way before we did. That's pretty damn impressive." A soft chime indicated someone at the door. "Come in," Velthax called. Katie Chen entered, still wearing her work clothes covered in various stains from alien machinery. "Sorry to interrupt, Commander Admiral. I wanted to give you an update on the repairs." "Go ahead, Katie," Foster said, the WEO. "Main fusion core is running at full capacity. I've installed 3 separate redundancy systems, so even if 2 fail, you'll still have power. The life support is actually working better than before, thanks to some earth filters we installed. Oh, and Zeltor helped me figure out how to boost your shield generators by about 20%. "The apprentice?" Velthax asked, surprised. Katie grinned. "He's brilliant. Kid's got a natural understanding of field dynamics. With your permission, I'd like to keep working with him. He's teaching me as much as I'm teaching him." After Katie left, Velthax's communication panel beeped urgently. It was the Galactic Council demanding another update. With a sigh, he activated the screen. High Counselor Zixa Theta appeared, their crystalline form shimmering with agitation. "Commander Velthax, the Council demands to know why Deathworlder ships remain in Council space. Their presence is causing panic across 17 systems." Before Velthax could respond, Admiral Foster leaned into view of the screen. "High Counselor, with respect, we're here because we responded to a distress call that apparently no one else heard or cared about. We'll leave when the station is fully repaired, and these people are safe." "You have no authority here, Deathworlder," the counselor said, their form flashing red with anger. "You're right, I don't," Foster agreed calmly. "But I have 37 ships and the determination to make sure 3,000 innocent people don't die in the cold darkness of space. If you have a problem with that, you can file a formal complaint with Earth's diplomatic corps, but Think real hard about why the primitive Deathworlders were the only ones who showed up to help. The transmission cut off abruptly. Velthax stared at Foster in amazement. You just told off the High Counselor. Someone needed to, Foster said. They left you to die. That's not right. Over the next few hours, Velthax gave Foster a tour of the station, showing her their research, their art, their culture. In the Yo observation deck, they found Dr. Sam Rivera and several Zalathi doctors in deep discussion. The interesting thing, Sam was saying, is that your species heals faster than ours in some ways. Your cellular regeneration is remarkable. We heal stronger, but you heal quicker. Could we combine the approaches? One of the Zalathi doctors asked. I don't see why not. Imagine trauma treatment that combines human durability techniques with Zalathi speed healing. We could save so many lives. In the recreation area, they found something even more remarkable. Human soldiers and Zalathi crew members were sharing a meal together. The humans had brought their own food, of course, as most of it would be toxic to the Zalathi, but they were teaching each other about their cultures. Danny Cole was showing a group of Zalathi how humans played music, his tablet connected to speakers. The rhythmic sounds of earth music filled the air, and some of the younger Zalathi were attempting to dance in the low gravity. Music is huge for humans, Danny was explaining. We use it for everything. Celebration, mourning, work, relaxation. It's part of who we are. We have music too, a Zalathi said, producing a crystalline instrument that hummed when touched. But it's different. Softer. Play something, Danny encouraged. The Zalathi began to play, and the humans fell silent, listening to the ethereal tones. When it ended, Danny started clapping and the other humans joined in. That was beautiful, he said. See? Different species, different worlds, but we both make music. We're not so different. Velthax and Foster watched this cultural exchange with wonder. Fear had been replaced by curiosity, suspicion by friendship. This is happening all over the station, Velthax said. Your people and mine working together, learning from each other. That's the thing about humans, Foster said. We're naturally curious. We want to learn, to understand, to connect. It's how we survived on Earth, by working together, and it's how we'll survive in space too. They were interrupted by Paul Rodriguez, who jogged up to them despite the low gravity making each step a small jump. Admiral Commander, we've got company. Galactic Council enforcement vessels just dropped out of hyperspace. 6 of them. Foster's expression hardened. Are they threatening the station? Not yet, but they're demanding we leave immediately. Let's go to the bridge, Foster said. On the bridge, the main screen showed 6 sleek council vessels arranged, in what was clearly meant to be an intimidating formation. They were beautiful ships, all curves and flowing lines. But Velthax noticed they had fewer weapons than even one human vessel. The Council Fleet Commander appeared on screen, a tall, imposing figure from the Altarian Collective. Human vessels, you are in violation of Council Quarantine Directive 779. Leave immediately or face consequences. Foster stepped forward. Commander, I'm Admiral Lisa Foster. We're conducting a rescue operation. We'll leave when we're finished, not before. Your presence here is unauthorized and unwelcome. Our presence here is necessary, Foster replied firmly. This station sent out a distress call. We answered. If you want to help, you're welcome to join us. If not, please maintain a safe distance while we finish our work. The Council Commander's mandibles clicked in frustration. You Deathworlders think you can ignore our laws? No, Foster said. We think we can save lives. There's a difference. Paul leaned over to whisper to Velthax. The Admiral's being diplomatic. Our shields could take anything those ships could throw at us. You're not afraid of them? Velthax asked. Afraid? No. But we don't want to fight. We came here to save people, not start a war. The standoff continued for several tense minutes. Then something unexpected happened. A transmission came from one of the Council ships, but not from the commander. It was from a junior officer. Admiral Foster, the young Altarian said, I wanted you to know that many of us think what you're doing is right. We should have answered the distress call. Some of us tried to convince our commanders, but they said it was too dangerous, too far, too expensive. The transmission cut off quickly, but the damage was done. The council commander's composure cracked. "We will be filing a formal protest with your government," he said stiffly. "You do that," Foster replied. "Meanwhile, we'll be here, saving lives." The council ships held position but made no aggressive moves. They watched as human vessels continued their work, ferrying supplies and equipment to the station. Later in private, Velthax asked Foster, "Weren't you worried they would attack?" Foster smiled. That expression Velthax had learned meant humor, or warmth. "Commander, humans have a saying, it's better to die on your feet than live on your knees. We weren't going to abandon you just because someone told us to. That's not who we are. But you could have been starting an interstellar incident." 3 days had passed since the human fleet arrived. The Zalathi station hummed with life and energy, transformed from a dying shell into something even better than before. Human engineers had not only repaired the damage but had upgraded systems, with redundancies and safety features that would prevent such disasters in the future. Young Texelan stood in front of a mirror in the medical bay, running his fingers over the healed skin where the burns had been. The human nanobots had done their work and dissolved, leaving barely a trace of the injury that should have killed him. Dr. Sam Rivera stood nearby, making final notes on his tablet. "How do you feel?" Sam asked. "Like a miracle happened," Texelan replied. "Dr. Rivera, I want to learn your medicine. I want to be able to help others the way you helped me." Sam smiled warmly. "I think that could be arranged. Earth is starting a medical exchange program. We'd love to have Zalathi students, and I bet your people could teach us things about cellular regeneration that would revolutionize our trauma treatment." Across the station, in the engineering section, Katie Chen was packing up her tools, while apprentice engineer Zeltor watched sadly. "You're really leaving?" the young Zalathi asked. "The station's fixed," Katie said. "Better than fixed, actually. With all the upgrades, this is probably the safest station in the galaxy now. But there's still so much I want to learn from you." Katie stopped packing and turned to face him. "Then come to Earth. We're setting up an engineering exchange program. Fair warning, though, the gravity will be tough at first. You'll need an exoskeleton suit until you adapt." "I'll do it," Zeltor said without hesitation. "I want to learn everything. Human engineering, human determination, human creativity." Lieutenant Paul Rodriguez was making his final rounds through the station, checking that all repairs were complete. He found Commander Velthax in the main conference room, working on something at his desk. "Commander, we're about ready to head out," Paul said. "Is there anything else you need?" Velthax looked up from the document he was writing. "Lieutenant, I'm drafting a formal recommendation to the Galactic Council. I'm proposing a mutual defense and cooperation pact with Earth." Paul's eyebrows rose in surprise. "Really? Even after they tried to force us to leave?" "Especially after that," Velthax said. "Your admiral stood up to them to protect us. Your people risked an interstellar incident to save strangers. If that's not proof of your good intentions, I don't know what is." He continued writing as he spoke. "I'm also including all the technological innovations Katie and Zeltor developed together. The hybrid fusion system alone could revolutionize space travel for dozens of species." Admiral Foster entered the room, accompanied by several of her senior officers. "Commander, I wanted to say goodbye personally, and to give you this." She handed him a small device. "It's a quantum communicator, direct line to Earth's emergency response fleet. If you ever need help again, just call. We'll come." "You'd do that? Even after we're no longer in crisis?" "That's what allies do," Foster said. "And I hope that's what we are now. Allies." The farewell ceremony was held in the station's main docking bay. Humans and Zalathi mingled freely now, exchanging contact information, taking pictures together, making promises to stay in touch. The fear that had existed just days ago was completely gone. Danny Cole was surrounded by Zalathi children who had made him drawings to take back to Earth. They were pictures of humans and Zalathi standing together, holding hands despite their different Anatomies. I'll put these on my wall, Danny promised. And I'll send you pictures of Earth animals. You'll love penguins. They're birds that swim instead of fly. That sounds impossible, one child laughed. Lots of impossible things are real, Danny said, like humans and Zalathi being friends. As the human crews prepared to board their shuttles, Texlan approached Paul Rodriguez one last time. Lieutenant, I need to ask you something. You said Earth has high gravity and radiation that would kill us. Your air has too much oxygen for us to breathe safely. Why would you want us to visit such a dangerous place? Paul thought for a moment. You know what's funny? We don't see it as dangerous. To us, it's home. It's beautiful. We have blue skies and green forests, oceans that stretch to the horizon, mountains that touch the clouds. Yeah, it's harsh, but that harshness created beauty too. He pulled out his tablet and showed Texlan pictures. This is the Grand Canyon. Wind and water carved it over millions of years. This is the Aurora Borealis. Lights in the sky caused by solar radiation. This is a thunderstorm over the ocean. Dangerous but incredible to watch. Your world is terrifying and beautiful at the same time, Texlan said in wonder. Just like the universe, Paul replied. Dangerous and wonderful, that's why we explore it. The human shuttles began departing, returning to their ships. The massive vessels that had seemed so threatening when they arrived now felt like guardian angels watching over the station. The Galactic Council ships were still there too, watching from a distance, their crews no doubt filing reports about everything they had witnessed. 6 months passed. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The Galactic Council chambers on the capital world of Zentara were filled to capacity. Representatives from 100 worlds had gathered for a historic vote. At the center of it all stood Commander Velthax, now serving as a special ambassador. Honored representatives, he began, his voice carrying across the vast chamber. 6 months ago, my station was dying. We sent a distress signal, expecting no response. The humans came. They asked for nothing. They saved everyone. And they left us stronger than before. He paused, looking at the human delegation seated in specially reinforced chairs. Admiral Foster was there, along with Earth's official diplomatic team. Since then, we have learned much about our new friends from Earth. Yes, they come from a world we call a Deathworld. Yes, they are strong enough to crush most of us without effort. Yes, their history contains violence and war. Murmurs rippled through the chamber, but Velthax continued. But they are also compassionate, creative, curious. They have a saying, today you, tomorrow me. It means that help given freely creates a universe where help is freely received. They believe in protecting those who cannot protect themselves. They believe in sharing knowledge. They believe in friendship between species. He activated a holographic display showing images from the rescue. Humans and Zalathi working together. The healed injured. The upgraded station. The technological innovations created by cooperation. I propose that we stop fearing the Deathworlders and start learning from them. Because if a species can evolve on a world that hostile and still choose kindness, still choose to help, then perhaps they have something to teach us all. The High Counselor, the same crystalline being who had demanded the humans leave, flickered with uncertainty. They are still dangerous. Their military power far exceeds most council species. Admiral Foster stood up. May I address the council? After a moment's hesitation, she was given permission. You're right, Foster said simply. Humans are dangerous. We evolved on a harsh world that made us strong. We developed weapons that could destroy planets because we were afraid of what the universe might hold. But we also developed medicine that can heal almost any injury. We created technology to protect and preserve life. We learned that strength without compassion is just brutality. She looked around the chamber. We're not asking you to trust us blindly. We're asking for the chance to prove ourselves. Let us join the council. Let us share our knowledge, our strength, our protection. Judge us by our actions, not your fears. A young representative from a species called the Yarick stood up. They were small, fragile beings with crystalline wings. The humans saved a Yarick's exploration vessel last month. They were caught in an asteroid field, shields failing. The humans arrived, shielded our ship with their own vessels, and guided us to Safety. They asked for nothing in return. Another representative stood. Human medical teams helped stop a plague on our colony. They brought medicine and stayed until every colonist was healed. One by one, stories emerged. The humans had been busy in those 6 months responding to every distress call they detected, helping anyone who needed it, regardless of species or political affiliation. The vote was called. One by one, representatives cast their decisions. When the tally was complete, the result was overwhelming. The humans were welcomed into the Galactic Council. The chambers erupted in a mixture of celebration and concern. Some species were thrilled to have such powerful protectors as allies. Others worried about what changes the Deathworlders might bring. Later, at the reception celebrating Earth's admission to the Council, Velthax found himself standing with Admiral Foster on a balcony, overlooking the capital city. "This is just the beginning," Foster said. "There's so much we can learn from each other." "The galaxy will never be the same," Velthax agreed. "Some of my people are still afraid." "Change is scary," Foster acknowledged. "But staying the same when you could grow, that's even scarier." A young human diplomat approached them. "Admiral, we're receiving multiple distress signals. A cargo convoy is under attack by pirates near the Vega system." Foster didn't hesitate. "Send the 4th Fleet, full response." Velthax watched her with curiosity. "You don't even know what species they are." "Doesn't matter," Foster said.